A familiar face is back in Columbia, South Carolina, as Shane Beamer just made arguably his best coaching staff move of the offseason. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, be sure to check us out on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content. You can also check out the podcast that drops daily on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. And of course, guys, be sure to check us out at SECUnfiltered.com for all the latest from us. Guys, before we get rolling, this segment's brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK Activewear. Guys, if you have not heard of RHOBACK before, I don't know where you've been living under a rock, whatever it is. These guys are taking over, and you probably see me rocking them a lot. And guys, I wear it to the golf course. I wear it to shoot content. I wear it around the house, whether it be their performance hoodies, their performance polos, their quarter zips, whatever it might be. Guys, RHOBACK is a staple when it comes to what I wear. Again, the hoodies, the polos, guys, they're some of the best pieces of clothing I've worn. You've also seen them working with folks like Alabama's quarterback Jalen Milroe, former LSU head coach Ed Orgeron. They're gaining traction big time. They are a must-have. Again, guys, the weather's warming up. All of my golfers out there, you want some new apparel. It's some of the softest polos you're ever going to wear, right? The hoodies I love especially as well. If it's a brisk morning, right, or you're going to a golf tournament, whatever, you're out on the golf course, you want something where your body is free and you can swing the golf club, you can move around. Hey, you're out at the tailgate, you want something to keep you warm, but also lightweight. RHOBACK is the way to go. Guys, head over to RHOBACK.com. Use that promo code SECU. RHOBACK.com, SECU, 20% off your first purchase. It's a heck of a deal that RHOBACK's offering. RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU. That's RHOBACK.com, RHOBACK.com. 20% off all bottoms, Q-zips, hoodies, and more. And again, guys, I'm telling you, for whatever occasion it is, I think they even have dog stuff on RHOBACK.com. I could be mistaken, but I don't think I am. Either way, check them out. RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. As I mentioned, Shawn Elliott is back in Columbia, South Carolina, as it was announced early this morning that he will be joining the Gamecocks staff as tight ends coach. Previously, Justin Stepp was in that role about a week or so ago. He left his position there, went and took the wide receivers coaching job at Illinois, and there was a lot of speculation. Who is going to fill in? Who's going to be the new tight ends coach, right? There was maybe some upset fans, some animosity from Justin Stepp leaving. Was a guy who was beloved on the staff. Shane Beamer just filled that void in a huge way. First off, let me say, Shawn Elliott, great guy. Friend of mine, friend of the show. We actually had him on the show back summer of 2022 before South Carolina played Georgia State in that season opener. Met Coach Shawn Elliott out and about in Columbia. A great dude. Took time to chat with me, discuss his time in Columbia. Of course, guys, if you did not realize that, this is a big hiring for many reasons. The number one reason being this, though. Shawn Elliott on staff for the greatest run of South Carolina football in school history. He was the running games coordinator and the offensive line coach during that run, 2010 to 2013. Also served as the interim head coach when Steve Spurrier hung it up in 2015. There were a lot of folks out that thought maybe he should have gotten the opportunity to get the job in Columbia. And guys, I know the position title is tight ends coach. I get that. But when you look at South Carolina's running game, what did they struggle at last year? The running game, right? Could not run the football to save their lives. In South Carolina, it's been a long time since the Gamecocks had a high-level, consistent running game to lean on. I mean, yes, you look at 2020, but guys, 2020 was weird, right? 2020 was just an odd year, right? There was nobody in the stands. Nobody was playing defense. So if you want to talk about 2020, sure. But outside of the COVID year, when's the last time South Carolina really ran the football at a high level with any consistency? It's when Shawn Elliott was there. I mean, I think you realistically have to go all the way back to 2014 when the Gamecocks had Shawn Elliott at O-line coach. They had Mike Davis at the running back position. That's really the last time I look and say, okay, that's when South Carolina had a running game you could really trust and you could count on week after week after week. So, going back to his time in Columbia, I think if you can add people to your staff, if you're Shane Beamer, that have seen South Carolina football at its heights, and Shawn Elliott certainly has, who have seen South Carolina football and believe what it can be, not what it's always been. I think that's always a positive. I think that's always a plus. Yes, his title is officially tight ends coach. But make no mistake, he's going to be helping Lonnie Teasley out when it comes to coaching offensive line. He's going to be helping out Dowell Loggins when it comes to run game. And I just don't see how South Carolina's run game won't significantly improve, at least over time, with the addition of Shawn Elliott onto the staff, right? It's a great hiring for many, many reasons. You think about he's a South Carolina guy. He's from Camden, South Carolina. He gets to come home, if you will. He's got great ties in the state of South Carolina and the state of Georgia when it comes to recruiting. We've all seen the videos of him on the field, the intensity, the passion that he brings to the game of football. He's certainly going to bring that to South Carolina. I think game days in Columbia just got even a little bit more electric with some of the pregame stuff he does with the shoving and the getting the players fired up, hitting them on the helmet, all that good stuff. Guys, I've also had the opportunity to talk with players who played for Shawn Elliott, and they all rant and rave and say great things about him. He's a player's coach. He's a friendly guy. He loves his players. He will go to war with his players. And again, speaking to Coach Shawn Elliott specifically back over summer of 2022, you really get a feel of who you're dealing with and who you're getting, right? He's a guy who loves football, loves family. He's only going to increase and reinforce the culture in that building. And, I think a great hiring for Shane Beamer. We talk about all the time, guys, and I'm not saying that a tight ends coach is the reason why South Carolina is going to win or lose games this fall or moving forward or what have you. But I think this is such a big hiring because the impact that Shawn Elliott is going to have is going to be far greater than probably any other tight ends coach in college football, right? Because, again, this is a dude who was the run game coordinator previously at South Carolina. He's also sat in that head coaching chair. And, it's funny, we're talking about this. This kind of goes back to what we've been seeing in college football. Another group of five head coach. Another group of five head coach is on his way out and going from being a group of five head coach to not even a coordinator, an assistant coach, a position coach at a SEC school. And I think, a lot of this has to do with the direction of college football, NIL, transfer portal. Shawn Elliott just a couple months ago talked about that and the challenges at GSU. And I will say this too, guys, to take this down a different path, because good for South Carolina, good for Shane Beamer, good for Shawn Elliott, right? And you got to make decisions that are best for you. Shawn Elliott, by the way, telling ESPN that, quote, "This was not a professional move, but a personal move," is what Elliott told ESPN. Quote, "We've made it work for 7 years. My family's still living in Columbia, and I even thought about not coaching this year." So Shawn Elliott considered not even coaching. "I had promised my daughter that I'd be there for her senior year of high school. And when this opportunity came up to go back to South Carolina and coach again, it was something I couldn't pass up. I've always loved South Carolina." So, made a personal decision for him. And that's great, right? Made a personal decision for him. But this is why the transfer portal should exist, guys. And this is why I have a hard time feeling bad for the head coaches. I have a hard time feeling bad for them in regards to, it's the wild, wild west and they've got to work harder. Number one, they're compensated very handsomely. And number two, coaches can up and leave at any point. And so you can't have the players locked in and tell them they can't make moves best for them when the coaches will do it in a heartbeat. Guys, Georgia State had started spring practice. They were 3 practices in. And now, in an unprecedented move, Shawn Elliott leaves, and Georgia State has put spring practice and their spring game on hold because they no longer have a head football coach. So, on a side note, and I'm not knocking Shawn Elliott for this or Shane Beamer or anybody, I'm just making the point, this is why the transfer portal and NIL, this is why it must be a thing, because you can't just have coaches up and leaving when they want and not allowing to let players have any sort of freedom for their own futures, if you will. But all in all, again, back to the South Carolina side, I think it's a great addition. I think it's a great hire. I think when you look at where South Carolina has struggled, especially since he left, right? Where they've struggled. Shawn Elliott is not just going to be some tight ends coach, like, your normal tight ends coach. All due respect to the guy in the position before, all due respect to all the tight ends coaches across college football. But what Shawn Elliott is going to bring, guys, I think this is the best hiring that Shane Beamer's made this offseason, right? I understand Coley bringing him on. He's a great recruiter, great track record, has worked for a lot of SEC schools. I totally get that. But when you think about Shawn Elliott's familiarity with South Carolina, what he did at South Carolina, he can sell that on the recruiting trail. He's got ties in South Carolina, in Georgia. He's been in the head coach's seat, so he knows what Shane Beamer's going through, and he's got that perspective. But I think most importantly, the way he's going to be able to positively impact Lonnie Teasley, that offensive line, of course, coaching his position group, but impacting the running game, positively impacting Dowell Loggins, all the other position coaches, all the other offensive coaches around him. I think it's massive for South Carolina. And as you move forward into the future, into 2024 and beyond, we all understand South Carolina has to run the football at a higher rate, at a higher level, to have the type of success that they want. Hiring a guy like Shawn Elliott is a great way to make that happen. I think Shawn Elliott's a fantastic coach. He's a fantastic person. And I think this was by far the best addition and the best hiring that Shane Beamer has made this offseason. Guys, that's going to do it all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, check out the podcast. It drops daily on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We're also all across social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, we are there. And check out our website, SECUnfiltered.com, for all the latest from us. As always, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.